Ooh, what's happening, guys? Welcome to another eclectic edition of PWT Podcast. I am joined here today. Well, I'm your host, of course, Phil Marks. Yeah. And I'm joined here today by my good friend, Alfred Konuwa, Forbes writer, stand-up extraordinaire, and pro wrestling bits on YouTube as well. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. He's back.
Thank you, everybody.
His triumphant return. Alfred, how have you been, man?
I've been great, man. It's been too long. It's good to be back on Pro Wrestle Times. Good to see my guy, Phil Marks.
Yes.
It's just, obviously it's WrestleMania season, so it's like the calm before the storm. But, I mean, I don't intend on sleeping for the next week, and that's okay.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I'm not going to sleep either, probably the whole next week either. I have a ton of shows lined up and some interesting guests, and you're one of them. You're who I chose to sort of do my WrestleMania preview with, if
Awesome.
You're into that, my guy.
I'm very honored, and very, very much look forward to talking about the card because it's been a mixed bag, but I'm very excited for this card. I think the highs are going to be very high at WrestleMania, and we're going to get into this more, but I really do think that wrestling fans, especially WWE observers and fans, have been spoiled over the past few years with the cinema. So like anything less than perfect, I think people are freaking out over, but I think WWE's done an overall good job.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. So, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe and all that. And you can see on the screen at This Is Nasty on X or over on youtube.com/at Pro Wrestling Bits is where you find Alfred Konuwa, or you can catch him on Forbes or on, I'm sure, stages all over wherever you reside there on the West Coast. So let's dive right into things. And first and foremost, before we get into the juice, the meaty stuff, which I do think is the WrestleMania talk, Alfred, every time you come on, it seems like you're caught up in some sort of new controversy. You know what I mean?
Controversy?
Yeah. You never. What has anything gone on lately that's been sort of controversial that you've taken on or that you've caught heat for? Like, we know when certain people like Meltzer throw certain barbs out there, we know that sometimes they're directed somewhat towards you, and things like that. So is there anything that's happened since we've last talked to you that really got people upset that you've done, or have you been playing chill lately?
Oh, I've just been a church boy for the entire time we've gone. I've gone to church every Sunday except one, and other than that, I don't think there's been anything that I've done that's been controversial, that's caused any type of overwhelming reaction, that's gone viral. Not me. Never me.
Oh, man. So, AEW, man, I wanted to talk to you about this quickly. Because, I've talked a lot about it on this show, and, I've talked a lot about it with different guests, but you made this video just in response to Swerve Strickland going on VladTV. We don't have to paint the whole background between the beef between, Booker T and Swerve. Like, I've done a good job of that, I think, on my live shows and podcasts now for the last couple weeks, but you made this hilarious parody video. We watched it on the show. We watched like a couple minutes of it. And man, when I saw this, I was telling you off air, like it was akin to when I saw Dave Chappelle dressed up like Rick James. Like it hit me the same way. You didn't even have to say anything. I went, oh, this is legendary. So basically, like, I don't know, give me your thoughts, I guess, on, did you catch backlash for this? I know there's a lot of people defending Swerve. A lot of people don't like Swerve is what I found out throughout this whole thing, like WWE fans and AEW fans alike. Did you catch backlash for this? And like, how did this hit you?
I don't even know what backlash is. If it's the internet, there's going to be people who love it, who hate it. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I really don't. I try when I'm on YouTube, like my YouTube comments, I read all of those because that's my audience. Those are people who are dedicating their time to watching my videos. And I do want their feedback to see, like, what do they like? What are some of the things that I can lean into? What are some of the things that worked and didn't work or whatever? And between my Twitter, I've heard nothing but good things about this. Good. Of course, the usual suspects aren't going to be very happy, but I really don't go seek their opinions or hear or see from them. Obviously, I've seen some people who are pro AEW or pro Team Swerve, and no matter what, they're going to take his side. And that's okay. I'm not saying that makes them automatically wrong or anything like that, but I really do think this is an entertaining piece of literature, or if you want to call it content, whatever you want to call it. I had a lot of fun making it. And to your point, Phil, when I got that wig thinking it was like a full-on dreadlock wig. And I was going to just put on a full wig. And then they sent me, it was like 4 or 5 strands of dreadlocks. And I'm just like, oh God, like, how the hell is this going to work? So I just kind of, to just see what it would look like, I put it on and I did my first couple of lines. And then I went back and looked at it just to see what it looked like. And I, like, not to put myself over, but I burst out laughing, just seeing how ridiculous I looked. And I was just like, this is even funnier than what it would have looked like with a full head of dreadlocks on. And it also is more accurate to how Swerve wears his dreadlocks, because it's like, it goes from the top of his head and everything else is shaved. So it was very funny.
Oh, man, it popped me. It's great. And if you guys haven't, check it out. It's just the parody. Did Vlad come after you for like using his graphics? He's notorious for like, oh, you got to pull this down.
I was worried about that. I've not heard anything from Vlad yet. I think I did it in a way that actually like honored how Vlad does his setup. Like I tried to make it to where it's obviously it's comedic with like I was kind of dressed up in this Swerve costume that was comedic, but with the drum set, with the text that you can see, like I wanted it to make it look like it was on VladTV. And then the Vlad character, like I could have gone way harder on Vlad, but Vlad, in order for this to me to be as funny as possible, Vlad was actually somewhat of a protagonist in this video, even though I do have my issues with Vlad and how he pits black people against each other from time to time. You can tell by how I made this, I do watch VladTV because they have a lot of comedians on there. There are a lot of people who I like, he puts wrestlers on there a lot. So I'm very familiar with his production. So I try to make it true to that. I don't think, maybe he just hasn't seen it or anything, but I haven't gotten any type of, claims or anything like that.
If I was willing to bet, I'd say Vlad's seen it.
I hope.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I'd say he's seen it for sure.
It's really funny. Some of the top comments, people will be like, man, I thought I had VladTV blocked and I saw this and then I saw this.
Yes. It's amazing. It's legendary. So speaking of legendary, some people there's a big debate right now online going on about, is AEW getting an upswing and is getting popular again, and the feeling's back, and Kenny Omega's talking about, we're going to restore the feeling again. And like, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, how many times are we restoring this goddamn feeling? Like, is it really a feeling? I think we're all numb to it, right? It's like when you whack off too much, Alfred, right? There's no feeling left. You don't even.
It's like the movie Novocaine, where they basically don't feel any pain anymore.
Exactly. And so I just want to ask you, like, they've been running with this Moxley thing. Last time you were on the show a while back, I think it was last year, but, we went hard on that and we were sort of roasting that whole idea, and they've ran with it. And now I'm on the side of like, okay, the story's terrible. It's not even really a story. I don't even know if you could call it that. However, it seems like, okay, they're going to save it for their biggest show, Double or Nothing, All In. That's where they're going to finally take the belt off Moxley, presumably Darby or something like that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter who. But somebody did this breakdown saying, Moxley's been popping quarter hours and stuff. And I went over it on my show, and I was like, realistically, what these charts show is that Moxley, like month over month, is losing like 100,000 fucking fans for this TV show, in my opinion. Or like every 2 months, there's like 100,000 gone now, it seems like. I don't know. I'm going to give Tony Khan credit here for sticking with like, okay, I have this vision and I'm going to see it through no matter what, because he hasn't really done that so much in the past. So I'll give him points for that, although the story's shit. But what do you expect from AEW? However, I want your thoughts on just like the Moxley run so far. Obviously, it's Double or Nothing, All In. They'll take the title off him or whatever, presumably All In. And what do you think about the product? Like, it's clearly suffering. I know BJ Bethel and all these people want to come out with these fake reports, but for real, dude. But like, it's clearly hurting because of this Moxley stuff. And now you have people defending it in like an act of desperation, almost, it seems like. I don't know.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's an act of desperation. It's the times we live in. It's a tribalism. There are always going to be a subset of people who will always defend everything AEW does, because that's their tribe and that's what they're programmed to do. I think, quite frankly, the AEW product sucks. I think it's bad. I don't think it's a good idea for Kenny Omega to go out there and put the restoring the feeling narrative back out there. I thought it was a horrible idea when Will Ospreay did it. And it's funny because Will Ospreay, alongside Mercedes Moné and Okada. They were like the big three who were supposed to come in here like the Miami Heat and build an AEW dynasty. The product has done nothing but fumble since then. They barely use Okada. He's barely ever on TV. And I think we have a large enough sample size. So it's been a year now because it was around the big business. It's been a year now. And Okada, you can safely say, I don't care how much of a glazer you are for AEW, Okada has been a flop in AEW. He has not come off as a bigger star. His wrestling has regressed really, and I don't think it's because of his skill level. I think he's gotten that bag, and it's like, why am I going to break my back in American AEW with the American wrestling style? So he's mailing it in the ring. He's barely ever on TV, and the only things that he's going to do that are going to create headlines are, typical to Tony Khan being a culture vulture. He's going to rip off New Japan's rivalry between Kenny Omega and Okada. So I think the product has gone down. So the fact that they think that they might be restoring the feeling again is because it was so bad last year that it's like, how can you get worse? That's what they're trying to say. And so I don't like this Whitepool Combat Club gimmick. I don't like the Dean Clambrose gimmick. And I want to make something very clear.
Right.
I make a lot of fun about the Whitepool Combat Club, the Death Riders being skinhead neo-Nazis. I have no problem with any promotion using like a racist skinhead character as a heel. I have no problem with that. And that's essentially what AEW is doing. But if it sucks, of course I'm going to make fun of it. It has not been good. So in addition to them using this highly sensitive, and they haven't gone out and directly said, but it is based on a skinhead movie. I don't care who you are. You've got your head in the sand if you don't understand that this Jon Moxley Death Riders gimmick is based on Romper Stomper, which is a skinhead movie, and it's not good. What they're doing is not good. People were clamoring for Swerve to win, but of course he was the first black guy to die in a horror movie because they need a white hope. And I just don't think it's been good from day one. I thought the first promo he cuts where he says, this is not your company anymore, there was a little bit of intrigue, and it's like, okay, let's see what they do with this. And ever since then, it has not made any sense. It's just been a long slog. Yep. Jon Moxley has not come off as a bigger star. And at one point in AEW, I thought he was one of the biggest stars in wrestling, not just AEW. And I just don't think it's good.
Yeah, at the beginning especially. I concur. My favorite part is the night that they rolled the Rizzler dressed like Orange Cassidy dolls out was the same night that Jon Moxley took a spiked bat impalation. Is that out of defenestration? One of these Asians into the back, right?
Yeah.
And it was the same night as that. And then somebody who I fully agree is a Karen wrote to Max though and was like, I was appalled by what I saw. Why would my kids watch this? And Max wrote back to this guy and was like, well, we advise you. We know that AEW is a unique wrestling show, so use your parental controls. And then Tony Khan does his media scrum or whatever, and he talks about, we're going to continue doing violent stuff, and, we're more like adult-oriented. And then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, who the fuck are these Rizzler dolls for then?
Yeah.
Like who? Right? Like it's just little things like that. They've piled up over 6 years. And Moxley ain't helping the situation is basically what I'm getting at, right? Like we're selling the Rizzler dolls on the neo-Nazi Spike Bat show, or what are we? You know what I mean? I don't understand. Like, what's the direction here? I'll give Tony points for like, okay, at least you maybe stuck to your plan, but like the belt, for instance, one of the beautiful things about AEW is how beautiful their world title is. They hide it in a case. They're like, oh, hey, look at Harley Cameron. She's a beautiful woman who can sing good. Let's put her in a mask and make her not talk and hang out with hologram, Right. Everything they're doing is so counterproductive. It's been 6 years of this. A lot of people, and I'm sure you've seen this, Alfred, a lot of influencers or YouTubers and stuff are starting to wake up to this now, like a handful of years too late. And now there's a lot of these sickos who have clung on so hard to where I think it's, I don't know. I just see like another 100,000 dropping off in the next year, and then it sort of stagnates there, kind of like in perpetuity. What do you think about that prediction? Or do you think we ever see an uprise again, basically, especially after this last year where even like this last pay-per-view, a bunch of the fans are like, Tony's the worst booker. I can't believe he didn't take it off Mox. You know what I'm saying? Like, do we ever see that resurgence again?
And it's funny you say this because if you would have asked me this a month ago after Revolution, I would have said yes, because Revolution for their audience was a very good pay-per-view. Again, not the greatest storytelling pay-per-view, but AEW serves an audience that wants to see wrestling more. And I'm somebody who watches AEW. I'm somebody who does like wrestling. I prefer entertainment. I prefer if you put some cinema with wrestling. But AEW is doing a good job super serving their audience with the Revolution show. I thought it was a very good show. And then you fast forward to this long marathon of a show that ends with the Young Bucks, untriumphant return, and Jon Moxley holding on to this title, and it's like we've gone one step forward from Revolution and 2 steps back now. And I think AEW, they're going to benefit. It's very Dixie Carter-esque, right? They're going to benefit from the fact that their owner has all the money in the world. And people think that that's like AEW is going to be around forever, but they're also going to need TV deals. They're also going to need mainstream, top shelf television in order to keep this going at a level to where they're going to have chance after chance after chance to restore the feeling. Because if this goes on for another year, 2, 3, 4 years, and let's say Warner Brothers Discovery picks up UFC, and UFC becomes what AEW was supposed to become in terms of drawing that 18 to 34 audience, 18 to 49 audience, they're going to wake up one morning and be like, what the hell are we doing paying Tony Khan all this money to do a lighter version of WWE? Especially given the fact that AEW's Q rating is horrible. So I don't see a turnaround simply because the people in charge, Tony Khan and friends, I thought they did a good job early, filling a void that needed to be filled because of how bad WWE was. But now not only is WWE so much better in comparison, but now you're getting this dynamic that's very similar to WCW when WWE overtook them, in that WCW was this disorganized mess. And all of the biggest stars in WCW, when they went there, they would talk amongst themselves with WWE guys and say, it's completely disorganized. I'm just there for a check. Right. And then when they really wanted to get serious, they'd go to WWE. And you would see one person after another in WCW jump off the sinking ship. We're seeing that with Mariah May. We saw that with Ricky Starks. I have a whole video. It's probably on the screen. It's about all the victims of Tony Khan, all the people who are big stars who fumbled. The chant, Tony Fumbled, has become a very popular chant. That is an ethos of AEW, and I think that's only going to hurt them because it's very hard to overcome perception that you're a bad company.
You know what they say?
Yes, guys, Tony Khan.
You mentioned Mariah May, and there seems to be an exodus. I mean, I called this shit. I was like, 2025 is going to be crazy with a bunch of people jumping ship from AEW. Now, there's rumors Mariah May asked for her release. Now, who knows? The dirt sheets, they get it. They're hit or miss, right?
Right.
But pretty much, if you look at her history, she's very much a WWE fan, and she's someone who's definitely been elevated from AEW, I would say, right? However, is she a star? A lot of people are saying, oh, WWE's just taking all of AEW's stars and making them into stars. But I'm sitting here and saying, as a fan, just objectively, no. They put Penta in a position. They put Phoenix in a position. They put Ethan Page in an entirely different position on NXT. They put Lexis King in an entirely different position on NXT. Ricky Starks is starting as sort of a mid-card title guy, and he's going to feud Ethan Page. And obviously, I mean, let's be honest, Shawn Michaels, Sean Petty, the Heart Petty kid, bro. He's fucking going at Tony's neck, and he's going to main event. He's going to try and outdraw Tony on an NXT with his own guys, right? You know that, but. And it's going to happen. And that's all because of the bald assholes and the Weinstein and all that bullshit, obviously. But what I'm getting at is what do you make of this narrative out there? Oh, they're taking Tony's stars and then using them as their stars. My argument's Tony's never actually made a star. Is Mariah May elevated? Sure. Is even Tony Storm probably elevated since going to AEW? Sure. Ricochet? Yeah, I'd say his stock probably went up. Most people though know Moxley's I think has gone down, Jericho's has gone down in my opinion. But what do you make of that narrative? Oh, they're taking their stars. My argument's they've never made a fucking star.
They haven't. It's a bullshit narrative that you would only find on a subreddit that glazes AEW. And it's so funny that you say all these names. Not one name that I heard you mention is a day one AEW talent. Everybody who's a quote star in AEW is somebody who AEW bought from WWE. Tony Khan is not a builder. He's a buyer. Okay, he bought the Hurt Business and made them the Hurt Syndicate. He bought the boss, Mercedes Money, and made her the CEO. I tweeted this earlier. If he was to buy Bianca Belair, she would be the ING of All Elite. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's so good.
The shining, the winning. You know what I mean? It's like he does not have a creative bone in his body. That is not what he does. He knows how to vulture the culture, but he does not know how to create shit. So that idea that, Tony Khan's taking all these stars. What stars? People who came from stardom, like Mariah May, and just kind of became a star base because she was good. I mean, yes, he's done a good job improving from here to there, but the people that WWE has taken, like your Ricky Starks or your Ricky Saints or whatnot, are people who did not get over in AEW despite having great talent. I mean, yes, Ricky Starks didn't get over in AEW nearly the amount that he should have. But he was so goddamn talented, and you could see it, that WWE was able to tap into that and capitalize on it. So I would argue Tony Khan has created what? I'll give him MJF, but I mean, MJF was going to happen no matter what. He's deniable. There's been nobody in AEW who is like, just like a run-of-the-mill type character, like a Damian Sandow type character, where he became a big star in WWE strictly because they were able to work with him creatively and develop this character. Tony Khan has really not done that in AEW. His biggest stars are ex-WWE guys, or somebody who came from the indies who had a lot of buzz, or an idea that he stole from New Japan Pro Wrestling. There's not a lot of Tony Khan creation. So this idea that he's created one star, let alone a handful of stars that WWE fumbled, is absolute nonsense.
So we talk about WWE a bit. I want to transition over before we sort of like preview WrestleMania and talk about, give our picks, or I usually leave my picks till the last minute, but I'm very curious what you think the outcomes will be, and maybe you'll persuade my thoughts going into it. But a lot of people are, we talked about what AEW's done wrong. So first off, is there anything you could name that AEW, and I agree with you, it's overall trash, but could you give them one thing, I guess, right now, and then we'll transition into WWE and what they're kind of doing wrong and right?
I mean, I really don't believe in just complimenting somebody because you have all these bad things to say about them. AEW sucks right now, period.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Good. I love that.
Say, and I like that you asked that question, because there are some things that I will say AEW has done a good job with Ricochet. And again, Ricochet was actually on his way up. I really do think that it was actually, I thought it was not a good idea for him to leave WWE when he did, because they were just about to go to Netflix. He was actually getting somewhat of a push. I know he was going to be on the wrong side of a feud against Braun Breaker, but I feel like he was just starting to put all that together and figure it out. And you see it now that he's a heel in AEW. And I think Ricochet's heel turn has been a revelation. I love seeing Ricochet as a heel. I think he's done a very good job reinventing himself, because for so long, he was the flip guy who couldn't really cut a promo, who was never going to get past a certain level because of his lack of entertainment. And now, as a bad guy, he's tapped into something, and you could tell he's having fun. So I really do like what they've done with Ricochet. I love the Hurt Syndicate. I think they're, again, the typical AEW, the coolest thing on the AEW TV is a black stable that, is
here's
cool,
the tag belts, and go fucking go do your thing. Here's the tag straps. Just go. That's all he's ever got for it's all he had for Acclaim too. It's like, here's the tag belts. I guess just go figure it out. Your private party. Here's the tag belts. Go figure it out. It's like,
and it's funny you mentioned the Acclaim, because that's another thing that I like. I love what Max Caster's doing, and he's essentially been told you're going to lose every single week. Go figure it out, and he's been able to get that over and get heat doing that after AEW completely fumbled the Acclaim for no reason. Where they just out of nowhere lost to the Ass Boys, and the Ass Boys disappeared.
Yeah, and Bowen's got a huge pop too. That was nice. So I was going to ask you, because I love Ricochet's work too. Have you heard Samantha Irvin's new song that she just dropped?
Is this within the last couple? Because I heard maybe a couple of months ago where she dropped the song.
No,
but I don't know if I've heard it.
There's something new, or maybe it's the video to that song, but the official video just dropped, I think, a few days ago. I don't know. She blocked me. Because I wasn't nasty to her. I'm never nasty to wrestlers, but yes, she blocked me because I said she was cringe when she said that Michael Hayes, and I didn't say it to her because I wasn't trying to be offensive, but I was like, Michael Hayes. She said to somebody, some random account, she's like, Michael Hayes said I would make a good booker, and I responded, not even to her. I screen grabbed it so everyone could see the whole exchange. And I was like, if she's being sarcastic, that's hilarious. if she's being serious, that's super cringy or whatever I said.
Yeah.
I was blocked the next day.
Well, they blocked me, but Swerve has blocked me. That's for sure.
Yeah. But her new music, though, I mean, it's not bad. The video's actually pretty good. I mean, she's not like the best dancer or anything, not trying to knock. She does a flute solo.
Yeah,
near
she's
the
very
end.
talented. She did that Wale Mania a couple of years ago, or was this last year in Philadelphia? I think it was last year in Philadelphia. She played Razor Ramon's theme on her flute. It was amazing.
So to me, my criticism of her was like, listen, that door opened for her before, like on America's Got Talent and The Voice or all of these things she's done. And then she found her lane doing like the commentary or the ring announcing rather. And then she leaves wrestling to go sort of pursue these doors that have already sort of been slammed in her face. And I mean, the music industry is cutthroat, Alfred. Yeah. It is cutthroat, man. And it's hard to she sings great, but that's like 1% of what goes into fucking the music business. And I'm not saying she's not prepared for that or anything, and it's good she can go chase her dreams. I'm never going to say, hey, don't go. But it's like Ricochet jumped over to AEW. I just feel like it's a matter of time before she pops up there as like his heel manager and is cutting promos on the mic too, which good on them. And I think that'll get Ricochet even more heat, and he's been able to carry the ball and run with it on his own. But I don't know, man. I think she's just more built for pro wrestling. And I'm not even knocking her music or anything. I just think like, oh, man, you had it right there. I mean, you had you were on TV. I mean, look at all the stuff Alicia Taylor's doing.
Announcing, like the way people announce certain wrestlers was solely influenced by Samantha Irvin. And I mean, it's one thing to just be, she was just an announcer and she's replaceable, which everybody is replaceable in pro wrestling and WWE. Having said that, it is obvious the void that has been created with Samantha Irvin. Like, she was one of the all-time great announcers just a couple of years into her doing that. So not only for her quitting disappointed me, not from the standpoint of, what else are you going to do? You're not going to make it in music or whatever, but more so like, man, you're like one of the greatest to ever do this. Like,
yes.
There's a lot, as talented as she is, she's not one of the greatest musicians of all time.
Right. That's the point I was trying to make, right? Exactly. It's so cutthroat. Like your video's awesome, but it's like you're not the best dancer, you're not the best singer. I mean, I'm sure there's another flute player better than you too, and you're great at all those things, better than me at all those things. But it's like you found what you were the GOAT at, you know, by having these other doors shut on you already. And then you're like, I'm gonna shut this door only like 3 years in and then try and go kick down these other doors that were already shut on me. I don't know. I'm not even trying to diminish it, but I get why that criticism would warrant a blocking from her. I get how that maybe is like, oh, fuck this guy, So.
Yeah, I mean, I would never discourage anybody from betting on themselves, and I do respect her for what she's done. I am just disappointed as somebody who thoroughly enjoyed her announcing and all the moments she created. I'm disappointed that there's no more Samantha Irvin in WWE.
And just one last thing on that, like look at Alicia Taylor. She's on WWE LFG. She was announcing what's Pat McAfee's Big Night Ott or whatever that thing was called. So she's getting all these opportunities now, and it's like just like Ricochet leaving. I'm like, Samantha, you were right there. Like you were about to be seen by all the Netflix people, and that's like a direct line. They could be like, hey, she wants to do movies. She can sing whatever, and maybe that was enough, but. I don't know. I'm not going to ever. I've said it a million times and I've defended her in that. I'll never tell someone what to do with their fucking life, man. I mean, it's her choice. She's probably making more money than ever, her and Ricochet, and they're probably happy as fuck. And so that's all good with me.
Married to the platform,
And I'll put that over too. I love when Ricochet sent that video in from his wedding. Like that was tight, man. I popped for that. Anyways, though, we got to transition over to WWE because I sort of gave the sizzle to the steak a bit ago, but Alfred, I've been bitching and groaning about a lot of WWE. I've been putting over a lot of WWE. I'm in WrestleMania week mode. I'm having a hell of a time this week. I'm so excited for this weekend. There's going to be a lot to consume, a lot to review, a lot to preview. But before we preview WrestleMania, it's like a lot of people are bitching. It seems split again, like last year, but in a different way. Like last year it was split. It has to be Roman, it has to be Rock, it has to be Cody, the Cody crybabies, da. This year, it seems like they tried to do the last second thing to make us all go, oh, WrestleMania. But at the same time, A lot of people are bitching about the build. A lot of people are bitching about some of these matchups. And I know the fickle fans are always going to complain, but just the vibes last year compared to this year, a little different, no? Like, in your opinion, hey, it's as well, would you say it's like a little different?
100%. It's last year, and there was going to be no choice but for that to happen. There was nowhere to go but down after last year. Last year's main event, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how many times Dave Meltzer wets himself over technical wrestling that nobody cares about. Last year's WrestleMania main event was the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time.
Of all time.
Period. It was the best, most satisfying finish to an all-time angle. And again, the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes finishing his story, which were two different storylines that converged. These are the two greatest storylines of all time, especially when you throw in the fact that The Rock almost kind of upended everything at the last minute, and that added another layer. So it's like you got this all-time great long-term stories plus a yes movement type run at the end from Cody Rhodes when the fans refused to let him not main event. You know what I mean? So this is an all-time classic cinematic WrestleMania. They had no choice to go down. WWE set a new standard for the product with last year's WrestleMania. And I do not think this year has been as good, but that's not to say that I don't think it's been good, period. I've just noticed some lapses creatively. And really, I think the biggest Achilles heel for WWE, they just had too much time. I mean, you had Royal Rumble, and then from then on, it's like, this is the latest WrestleMania they've ever had. It's Easter Sunday on April 20th. Okay, it's typically the first week of April. Sometimes it's like March 31st for WrestleMania. So they've had that extra couple of weeks, and you can tell because of how many times they've repeated certain angles, how many times they're just kind of stalling. Cody Rhodes isn't on TV for weeks on end. Neither is John Cena. Yeah. So I just don't think it's been a direct story that is being told because of how much time they've had to spend kind of vamping. And there are some stories that have really, and I hope we'll be able to get into it. But there are some storylines that I just don't think we're good at all, despite all the talent that we're in.
Also think about this. Kevin Owens wouldn't have missed Mania if this shit happened like when it was supposed to. And I said it too at the start of April. I was very excited that first week, and I'm like, oh, it's Mania season. Then last week, or leading into the 1st of April there. And then last week I was kind of like, I was bummed out. I'm like, does it even feel like Mania season? And then now this week I'm all hype again, obviously, right, because of all the stuff upcoming. But so what is WWE? Well, you kind of just said, you summed it up there great. What they're doing wrong. It's sort of last minute. They try. I feel like here's the other thing too. The both nights aren't sold out, quote unquote. Like realistically, SummerSlam this year is probably going to outdraw WrestleMania, and it's like. That's because I feel personally they left everything till very last second to try and pop everyone, and the prices are expensive.
That's what it is. That's more so than anything is that they're looking at the money play and how much people are willing to pay for these WrestleMania tickets. This WrestleMania, despite not selling out and despite being one of the more lower attended WrestleManias of all time, is going to be the highest grossing, I think, by far.
No, absolutely. Especially after they canceled those Hulk Hogan Real American Beer Suites and replaced it with, I think, like the Macho Man Slim Jim section or whatever.
Did they really?
Something like that. Yeah, dude. Because they weren't selling. The Hogan tickets weren't selling.
That's so funny.
So leading into this thing, man, let's look at night one. We will start with the War Raiders and the New Day, the Boo Day, as I call them. So my thoughts quickly, the War Raiders, they haven't had, I like these guys, but there's no real wave or push behind them. I think in a perfect world, you could have had the Lucha Brothers versus Boo Day at WrestleMania for the fucking titles. Do that shit in a ladder match or something. That'd be fun. But ultimately, the Boo Day have fucking reinvented themselves so well. I mean, they really just went back to, what they were doing sort of in the beginning. They were heels to start with. Yeah. So they went back to that, but they're not as preachy. They're just more, they're preaching, but they're like, Kofi's cringe beard is just amazing. And, and so I like this match. And when they originally had this match, I think it went to like a DQ or something. And then we're getting the rematch at Mania. When they first were building to it, I was like, oh, great. They have like a month to build to this for Mania. Then they had the match. Then it's like DQ or whatever the fuck. And then they have the rematch at Mania. So that to me, I don't know. It just sort of dampened the heat behind this match. And I feel like they could have really built up maybe like American Made to take on Boudet, or they could have, because they're with the El Grande Americano connections and Chad Gable and all that. And then also you had the Lucha Brothers right there, which I know Tony Khan sort of like, he wasn't going to let Ray go. Then he let him go. So WWE's like, fuck, we already rolled Penta out, but you could have maybe built to it anyways. That's my thoughts, but just this match itself, I'm not going to give a pick yet. I always do it on the night of, but I don't know. I think this match will be a little bit underwhelming. Not that I don't like any of these performers, but I hope the New Day leave with the belts personally, because I've been loving their heel run. What do you think?
Me too. I've been loving their heel run, and I actually think that they could have done much more with it, considering how hot that turn was, how well done it was, how much heat they got for it, and the fact that Big E was in the center of it. You know what kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of John Cena's heel turn, in that it was so well done, and The Rock was right there for it, and then you haven't seen The Rock since. And I thought that this New Day heel run was going to lead to an eventual reunion with the New Day and Big E. Or even like, if Big E's good to go, maybe a comeback from Big E of some sort. But clearly Big E was not figured into these plans. So New Day just kind of was bumped down the card, which is really a shame considering how talented they are and how well their heel run has been received in terms of them getting heat. But I think this is going to be a good match. Depending on how much time they get, I don't know how good it's going to be compared to some of the other matches on night one. Because, everybody complains about the multi-man matches on WrestleMania, but most of the singles matches looks like it's going to be on night one. You've got the world title singles match. You've got El Grande Americano, which is going to be fun. And I really fear that the New Day and War Raiders are going to be put in that popcorn spot. But I think they're going to do just fine. And I hope that New Day wins the titles.
Me too, man. How big would you pop, I guess pun intended, for like Boudet with Big E like heel managing them in their corner, even if he can't wrestle, and him just talking shit in their corner and stuff? That'd be awesome.
I think that'd be great. In hindsight, even though they did have to turn on Big E to get the most heat, in hindsight, I think that should have been the way to go. I thought, maybe at Elimination Chamber that you get Big E runs a big angle where he comes from the desk and he helps out New Day and he sees the light. So now they're back together as a New Day, but they're all heels. I mean, they're going to get cheered as baby faces like they did the first time around if they tried that. But I love the idea of Big E being a heel manager for the New Day. Maybe that would be the finish.
Yeah, there's always WrestleMania, brother. Yeah. It's coming up this weekend, man. So we have Jade Cargill and Naomi. I think Jade's still a little green. She's definitely improving. I think Naomi is just I tweeted out, I was like, box cutter Naomi greater than fucking, any version of Naomi, Trinity, Fatu, whatever. And man, Naomi's just been brilliant, like really, really making this feud feel important with videos she uploads to social media, these vignettes. She really feels unhinged, showing another side of her that I didn't think we'd ever see. To me, it's like, oh, Naomi's, the glow, feel the glow. Like, how do you take that away from the kids type thing? And nah, man, look at it. She's going full blown. She was wearing like Owen Hart gear out there, and I love it. I do wish, I don't know, like, has the story been perfect as far as like Jade being attacked and then like, no, but the beats to this story have been nice, and like the physicality between Jade and Naomi's been great. And I think this match is going to surprise people. It's either going to be really good, or I think this match will be it'll be sloppy shop because maybe Jade fucks something up. But again, I'm not trying to like shit on Jade. I'm just saying, like, if that happens, I don't think it'll be on former Knockouts champion Trinity Fatu, but these two have great chemistry. I feel like they're going to be able to shock everyone. I think this is like a sleeper match that will be better than people expect. At least that's just my fantasy bookmarking there. But yeah, I just really want to give it to Naomi. Like, she really fucking elevated, took this from me going, okay, Jade beat the shit out of her at Chamber and like almost ended her. So like, how does Bianca fit in? And like, what's really the end game with this? To now I'm just so invested in I don't know. And everything Naomi's got to say and just everything she's saying to put this over, she's just like that disgruntled best friend who got cast to the side,
Yeah, and this has been a historically good build because this is the first time there's a women's singles match that's not for a title with no stipulation in WrestleMania history. Not a black women's match, a women's match. Very rarely does WWE take two women and have them feud because they have a personal issue. There has to be a title on the line. It has to be a pillow fight. This is a singles feud between two women. And I think they've done a great job. I agree. Jade has only been in the business for a couple of years, so she's going to be green. And then we're in an era where they're not doing as many shows. There aren't as many territories. You know what I mean? You're not, even when you are with the company, you're not on TV nearly as much because, there's only so much TV time. So yeah, it's going to take longer, but I think for her level, Jade is fine. And in WWE, it's all about the presence, and she's a great athlete. So I have no doubt she's going to pick this up. I think the match is going to be very good. If for nothing else, it's going to be very heated. People have taken to this match. People have taken to the Naomi character to the point where I think maybe they even turned on Jade. Like I could see just based on how good Naomi's been as a heel, she might be getting the cheers in this matchup. We're in Vegas, which isn't traditionally like a heel town, but the people who are buying these WrestleMania tickets, considering how much they are, they're going to be some really strong WWE fans and probably some of these adult fans who like cheering heels. So I feel like the tides are going to turn toward Naomi, and I think it's going to be a very good match.
Yeah, and Jade, she has been doing well. Her outfits are very heelish, I'll say that. But
all black.
But here's the thing, though. Bianca, I think, is going, or maybe it's like an ultimate swerve, but to me, it seems like Bianca's going heel. She's starting to wear like black more like she would in NXT, and she's, I don't know, just acting more like she did in early NXT when she was like a bad guy, So I don't know. What do you think about Bianca possibly turning heel?
I definitely think Bianca is going to turn heel because all these colonizers keep booing her for no reason, so she has no choice but to turn heel. They go to Europe for a month, and all these super colonizers, when you're in Europe and you're a black woman, it's like playing Madden on all colonizers. So she's been booed for a month. So now people are picking up on that, just like how people are now chanting Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns. That's like a European chant. But so in addition to that, they've picked up booing Bianca. I think Bianca has done nothing. And I repeat, nothing to deserve a heel reaction. It's just that Rhea Ripley is such a big star. We'll get into the Bianca match.
Right.
They've told this has been the worst build of the entire WrestleMania. As much as we're talking about Jade and Naomi being the best build, I think the Bianca, Rhea, and Io storyline is a horrible build. Essentially is the story that they're telling. Rhea Ripley lost fair and square, not once, but 2 times she lost an opportunity to be a world champion headed into WrestleMania. So you go to the back of the line. No, the story they're telling is, well, white privilege. Rhea Ripley's a big star, so she gets to be in the WrestleMania main event. So she gets a title shot for no reason. And people are cheering Rhea, not because she's in the right, but because she's a star. Because people want to see her in the WrestleMania match. And me too. Like, I don't want Rhea to not be included. At least give me a good reason. And if we're talking about, since we're talking about Naomi and Jade, the way that they could have tied this all together, on the night that Rhea lost shockingly to Io Sky, this was the night after Elimination Chamber, when we had all surmised and ultimately were right about the fact that Naomi attacked Jade. Jade came back, attacked Naomi, so now it's out in the air, even though she hadn't admitted it yet, Naomi was the one who attacked Jade. So you want to make a triple threat storyline, then you have Rhea Ripley get attacked by a mystery assailant. So she's injured going into her match against Io, and she loses unfairly. Then on Friday, Naomi admits to attacking both Jade and Rhea Ripley. And so that would really help get the train going on. Oh, that's why Rhea deserves a shot to be at WrestleMania now, because she was robbed. Yeah. And that's why Bianca should turn heel, because she's getting preferential treatment from her friend attacking everybody. Yeah. But instead, Bianca has been a saint, has done nothing wrong, and she's being treated like the bad guy.
And then she's ultimately just going to turn evil because it's like, that's what the people want. It's so funny. And dude, what's crazy is like, Husey came on my show like a month before that match was like even announced, right? For After Chamber. And he goes, or he DM'd me or something, my pal Husey. And he's like, they're gonna, it's going to be that match. Rhea on the night after Chamber. It's going to be Rhea, Io, the title's gonna switch, man. It's gonna be a triple threat at Mania. And I just remember thinking, like, what the fuck? Like, why would they do that? Like, how the fuck does that make any sense? And he was right. I couldn't believe it, right? Because he also said, he was like, oh, I think Chad Gable's wearing a mask because he's getting hair plugs or whatever. And he was wrong about that one. So I was like, no, that's MJF. No, I'm just joking. But
no, well, it is.
So Rey Mysterio, speaking of Chad Gable, right? We're gonna go. I guess we'll go to this match next. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, aka Chad Gable, allegedly. Okay, and he's been doing, you know, the iron plate in the forehead and the mask and doing the dive-in headbutt. And this isn't officially a mask versus mask match, but you got to think El Grande is going to get his mask pulled off. I really doubt it'll be Rey who gets his mask pulled off and then he starts wearing devil horns and doing filthy animals again. I really doubt that'll happen. So he's going to unmask Gable more than likely. What do you make? So first of all, a bunch of people triggered by El Grande Americano. I just thought it was fucking funny. People were triggered at, like, they used AI to make this video.
Yes.
Yeah, they're trying to create a period piece. Like, that's when you use AI because it's funny. You know, it's like parody of, they have to insert this guy with El Santo and shit and like create this fake history. That's when you use AI because that's hilarious. What Gable would do. It's hilarious. Yeah. So people are triggered by that shit. WWE recently switched announcing him from the Gulf of America to the Gulf of Mexico. So they folded a little bit. Yeah, they folded a little bit. Your thoughts on the Grande Americano scenario and I guess people being triggered by it and the whole build to this match with Rey? I love this. I think this match is going to be like a show stealer, a showstopper right here. It's going to be a memorable one with a big moment at the end if they pull that mask off. Yeah, your thoughts on the whole thing?
I think it's been great. The only thing I haven't liked about El Grande Americano is WWE caving in the least. I thought one of the funniest parts about El Grande Americano is the announcement from the Gulf of America.
I know.
I think everything that they've done with this El Grande Americano is hilarious. And what I especially like is I'm a big fan of Chad Gable, and they're finally letting Chad Gable shine to where it's like, in this year of all these multi-man, meaningless kind of storylines, he's in one of the more meaningful storylines in a singles match against Rey Mysterio, a Hall of Famer. And I think he's been one of the best things on WWE TV every single week. And, I want to see more of it. You know, you could make the argument that they could stretch this out to a mask versus mask match. And, you know, maybe Chad Gable does win, but he's just been getting over so much on TV that I think that this is where, like you said, he's going to get his mask pulled off. But, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. Maybe they do some twin magic. Maybe they have a spot where it's like going. Let me tell you something right now. I just watched that documentary, and this is what I thought of is in they had WrestleMania 9, and they had Doink the Clown against Crush. And remember the finish was that the fake Doink came in and, screwed over Crush. Maybe that's the finish for this one, is that you get the fake El Grande Americano.
Dude, I said it before. That would pop me so hard on the live show. I said, yo, you know what pop me so hard is exactly the twin magic. You get the fake El Grande Americano at Mania or whatever. Or it's like the fake one is clearly like a guy comes out to the ring at some point and it's like clearly a luchador with like long black hair and tattoos or something, but he's wearing the gear. And everyone's like, what the fuck? That's not El Grande, you know? And then everyone's like, what do you mean that's not El Grande? Like Corey Graves or pardon me, Barrett or whoever's commentating, it could be like, what do you mean that's not? I think if you went one of those routes, either of those things could be absolutely hilarious. And I love that. And I like I do like the build to this. And you know what's insane? So I watch in Raw on Netflix, and I'm in Canada, so I get the commercial breaks. I just get to watch more Raw, right? It's been awesome. So, and same with SmackDown, I get everything on Netflix.
Right.
So what they do a lot during the commercials is they either send the New Day out there to like talk shit to Jackie Redmond or Kathy Kelly. They either send Ludwig Kaiser out there to do the same, or they send American Made out there and Chad Gable to just talk shit to the crowd, right? And so what's amazing is that when El Grande comes out, he gets big pops and cheers. And then Gable will come out during the commercial break to cut a promo, and the crowd's booing him, but they're cheering El Grande. It's like he's doing both, man. He's like a super over babyface, kind of, even though El Grande's cheating, but they're popping for it. But then he goes out there and he's like, you know, when he's Chad, everyone boos him. And it's so crazy how they got this thing over. Moving along, though, we got LA Knight, versus Jacob Fatu. I hope Jacob leaves with the title. This match, I'm surprised made it to wrestle. I thought it was going to be Solo Jacob.
Yeah.
You know, the next night, I think we're going to get Solo Randy. We can talk about that in a minute, but I really thought we were going to get Solo Jacob. Who knows, man, what the outcome is. I'm not going to give a prediction yet, but LA Knight, to me, if he wins or loses, he doesn't like get hurt in any way. You know, he's still just super over with the crowd. So he could drop the belt here to Jacob Fatu, and I'm totally okay with that and super down with it. And I think it's time. You got to put a strap maybe on Jacob, and he's this indomitable force. He's super over. He's one of these heels that people just fucking love. And I thought because all the flips when they brought him in, he was going to be a babyface naturally and then eventually turn heel. But no, they're like, he flips around, but he's just this crazy psychopath, and he makes it fucking work, man. And I love both of these guys. These are two of just my favorite wrestlers in WWE, period, just because the charisma of the Kevorkian of LA Knight and just Jacob Fatu, just being a fan of him before he ever came. If he went to AEW, I'd be a fucking fan of this guy. So, yeah, this match I feel like doesn't have a lot of build, and I feel like because of Jacob and LA Knight being so over, this isn't the popcorn spot, but like you had said about the New Day and that, but this is a match with sort of, they've built to it, but it was so wishy-washy, and it seems like a last-minute decision.
Yes.
Because, you know, you have Priest and Orton, who are kind of odd men out, and Solo's an odd man out. Like, think about it. Solo didn't have if KO didn't get hurt, Solo didn't have a match on Mania as well. That's crazy to me. So this, to me, feels a little clumped together, but like I'm excited for the match. Like on paper, as they say about AEW, hey, this is a great matchup, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, on paper. But I actually, I like this match. I think Fatu is getting hot at the right time. And I do think that, like, if they would have built this up more in terms of, because it's weird, because they were building up Fatu, but what they're doing is they're building it up between him and Solo. And it's funny, LA Knight seems like the third wheel, even though he's the champion in this match.
Right.
And the story they're telling is Jacob Fatu is gradually breaking away from the bloodline. So despite the star power, despite, as you mentioned on paper, how good this looks, this story has been kind of done an injustice toward because they haven't really built it up very much. And I just I love both guys, but I think Jacob Fatu is really surging right now.
Yeah. So speaking of surging, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, their fucking their segment there, their promo battle, me and Awful Wrestling debated whether or not it was a work or a shoot. Let me ask you, man, work or shoot? What do you think?
100% it was a shoot. Are you kidding me? Like, okay, so you could tell that Tiffany Stratton's lines, most of them were scripted because, you know, when she got thrown off, she would just go right back to her scripted line. But her getting cut off by Charlotte, where Charlotte was doing the squeaky voice, and ultimately Tiffany Stratton saying the 0-3 line, I think that was a shoot. Her getting out of the ring. I think Charlotte getting frustrated with the crowd and just giving the stage back to Tiffany Stratton. Listen, this was just kind of your run-of-the-mill feud between two blondes and kind of a passing of the torch until this promo happened. Now, I cannot wait to see this match. And I know a lot of people, they're programmed as to what to think on social media. So social media has told them that this is going to be a horrible match and Charlotte's going to go into business for herself. And because of how they can't work together on TV, they're not going to be able to work together in the ring. Let me tell you, I would not be surprised if this wasn't one of the best matches on the show in terms of them kind of going out there, especially with Charlotte. The pressure is on Charlotte to kind of show that, you know, she just came back. She hasn't quite found her groove again. She's now being hated on a level where it's borderline go-away heat. And I just think that there's an incentive for Charlotte to coach Tiffany through a good match. Because if they have a bad match, it's not going to be on Tiffany. You know, Tiffany might get heat and she might be downgraded for this and it might hurt her. It's not to say she doesn't have anything to lose. But Charlotte will be blamed, and it could begin the end of Charlotte. You know, it could begin the downfall of Charlotte in that, wow, she had this horrible feud with Tiffany Stratton where they couldn't do business. She kept steamrolling her, and they had a bad match. Like, this is now Charlotte's time to shine and kind of show everybody that she can carry Tiffany Stratton to a great match and leave everybody with a good taste in their mouths. And I think that's what's going to happen.
I agree, man. She's a show stealer. Charlotte, if you know anybody can step up, it's her. And Tiffy's shown out a few times too. Jey Uso versus Gunther. Hold on a second. Let me hear you say, can I get a yeet, Alfred? Let me say yeet. Let's go, man. We're yeeting all, and we're also yee. Or if you're Mercedes Moné, you do whatever the fuck this is. But Gunther, Jey Uso, man. So speaking of Charlotte, we go over to the world title match between the men, and her fellow Royal Rumble winner, Jey Uso, is not main eventing Mania. So neither Tiffy, Charlotte, or Gunther Jay is the main event of night one. So I thought we would end either night one or night two with Yeeta Mania. Now something's telling me they're going to open night one with Yeeta Mania.
Oh, yeah.
Why are neither of the Royal Rumble winners main eventing? And do you not like that? Like, does that piss you off as a fan?
No. I don't think Charlotte and Tiffany is a main event. I mean, you could argue that it is now more than ever after they shot on each other, but on its own merits, Charlotte versus Tiffany is not a main event. And I don't think that, okay, if we're going to put CM Punk, because the story they just have been telling for years now, since CM Punk's return, is CM Punk's never made a WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. And so if we're finally going to pay that off, then it's got to be a main event, because Cody is going to be the other main event. So if this is going to be the main event on night one, then Jay and Gunther didn't have a chance, because they're not going to be the main event on night two. So I agree with Seth, Cody, and Roman. I mean, Seth, Cody, and Punk main eventing night one. I think it's a good way to pay off CM Punk's career-long storyline of not main eventing WrestleMania. And I think it's a main event caliber match. And just because Jay and Gunther are going first doesn't mean it's not a main event caliber match. The two most important matches in a wrestling show is the first match and the last match. Just like on a comedy set, your two most important jokes are your first joke and your last joke.
Right, so, just like on a hip hop song, like your first and third verse has got to be the best, especially when you're featuring on that shit. Yeah, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude.
And so I have no problem with them going first, starting it off hot. I think it's gonna be a lot of heat. Never forget, Seth Rollins kicked off WrestleMania 40 with the world title match against Drew McIntyre. Seth Rollins kicked off WrestleMania, what was it? I think it was 35 against Brock Lesnar with a world title match. So there's really nothing wrong with going first. I know it kind of is seen as a curtain jerker in a bygone era, but it's a very important match. It sets the tone. More legendary wrestlers than Gunther and Jey Uso have gone first at WrestleMania. Including Roman Reigns in the Shield, I believe. Yeah. Well, I don't know if they went first on WrestleMania. No, WrestleMania 30, that was Triple H versus Bryan Danielson. Okay?
I know. Think about that.
Which I thought was a match of the year that year. So it was
so good. Yeah. So Jay Gunther, though, what do you think of the build? Like really heat it up. I don't know how you phrase that, whatever. But it's heating up that day is how I'll put it. Okay. Yeah. And Gunther bloodied Jimmy up. And then RNC Jimmy, Big Jim, while Jay was strapped to the fucking rope and he's reaching, he's just in his fingertips. And then the next time we see Jay, though, he comes out on Raw or whatever and he's all fired up and he's like he cuts a promo, like an emotional promo to Gunther, and I'm like, shouldn't it be on site? Like, shouldn't you be throwing fucking hands right immediately when you see Gunther? I feel like they could have did that where they were separate. Like maybe Gunther calls in via satellite and is like, stupid, you think I'd be there? I know you be emotional and try and get, and then Jay could be like, I promise when I get my hands on you. But instead he showed up and shown restraint, and I felt like that was a little bit, that dampened in a bit. But I'm not one of these guys who I'm yeeting all over the place, bro. I'm ready for Yeeta Mania, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's just a catchphrase and shit. And I just think that's
idiots.
Yeah, that's such a fucking I don't know, just a diminishing way to talk about Jay. He's a pro, man. He's in the spot for a fucking reason. Gunther has great matches, but Gunther really fired up with his promo as well. And this match, I feel like really heated up the last few weeks. And so I hope we walk away yeeting all over the place to open WrestleMania. Like that's how it's got to go down, right?
Yeah, I thought it's been a great build. I know they've had a lot of time, so it's maybe lagged in certain points, but the highs were very high. I love the angle they did with Gunther bloodying up Jimmy Uso. You know what? I'm going to have to disagree with you about, because I know it's kind of a standard thing to think that, like, oh, he beat up your brother. Now you have to beat him up. I like the fact that they did a left turn, and it's okay. I would have a problem. Here's where I would have a problem. If he came out eating and took 2 minutes to eat, went, one more time, you know?
Yes.
Okay. But he came out dressed in black. You can tell he was conflicted, and he cut what I thought was the greatest promo of Jey Uso's career.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Love that promo. So considering the fact that he cut such a great promo, considering the fact that he set the tone wearing all black and was upset, you know, and a lot of times, not that I'm from the streets, far from it. I'm from the suburbs of Chico, California, from the world's best cul-de-sac. Having said that, like, in the hood, they'll tell you that, like, the scariest guys in the hood are the guys who are quiet, not the guys who are going to go and fight everybody.
Yeah.
Quiet, who don't do anything in that moment. And that, to me, made Jey Uso seem more threatening and made it more believable that he's in Gunther's head now, because instead of losing his cool, he's just kind of saying, I'm going to pray for what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to pray to my mom. You know, so that's a great story that they're telling.
You know, and I do like how they conveyed that, and Gunther did a great job, like with his facials of sort of conveying, like, oh shit, I'm kind of shook now. This guy kind of scared me for once, you know, like no one's really said shit like that to me before the way he did. So I thought that was good too. A nice touch. So yeah, we have Seth Franklin, Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk in a triple threat. No title, no Ula Fala, no People's Championship on the line, no sign of The Rock. But it's the main event, as it should be. And, you know, Punk's goal is to main event WrestleMania. Is it to walk out the winner? That's a whole other story. I don't even know. Again, predictions, I'll do it the night of, but this is a main event caliber match, title or not. It feels weird, though. It feels like almost Drew McIntyre should be in this match as well.
Yeah.
In another universe, Moxley never landed on a spiked bat, and he's the third guy in this thing, but which would have been crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for this. It is a little wild that they're like, yeah, this takes the main event over the Rumble winners. But again, I don't get triggered by stuff like that because it's pro wrestling. You know what I mean? When it's MMA, I get a little more upset when it's like, oh, you got, you know, the title's got to be the main events, but that's a shoot, pal. So when it comes to this, man, you just look at those three faces and you're like, God damn, that's going to be wild. Are there going to be a bunch of run-ins? Is there going to be Heyman turning heel on Seth? Like, what are your thoughts? To me, the build's been great. The heat's there. The physicality's been good. There was just one time, though, where everyone was arguing and Seth just stood there and just like did nothing. But then he got his most recently. So
did he ever?
Yeah, and it's just been, I thought this is like another really strong build to this match. And yeah, people are saying, you know, Heyman's going to leave with Punk or whatever. A lot of people are speculating that Heyman's going to leave with Seth. What do you think, if you had to like take a guess, is going to happen? And what do you think of the build for this match?
I thought Heyman was going to leave with Seth since they did the whole favor thing and it became about Roman and CM Punk. I thought that was a red herring for the fact that Paul Heyman was going to leave with Seth. And I think WWE's onto that because now they've made that part of the storyline, is that Paul may or may not owe Seth Rollins a favor. And it's funny, no matter what Paul Heyman does, this is how good he is at betraying people. No matter what he does this Sunday, it will be a betrayal of some sort. It will, because I really... Even if he leaves with Roman Reigns, it's like him and Roman have fallen out. You know, Roman pie-faced him. That relationship is supposed to be over. So if he leaves with Roman Reigns, then he pretty much betrayed CM Punk. If he leaves with CM Punk, then he fully betrayed Roman Reigns. If he leaves with Seth, that would be the biggest betrayal and most up Paul Heyman's alley to be the visionary's visionary. So I think that Paul Heyman definitely is going to leave with Seth Rollins. And I think Seth Rollins has been the best guy in this feud. I think his promos have been the best. It's funny because the most influential heel on this generation of wrestlers, for obvious reasons, because they were kids in the new generation, is the 1997 heel Bret Hart. Is like the most influential heel because so many guys in both companies, you know, across WWE have gotten over with the heel Bret Hart thing, where it's like you're right about everything you're saying, but you're doing it in such a whiny manner that the people start turning on you. Seth Rollins has been right about everything he said about CM Punk. You know, he's been right about Roman Reigns left Paul Heyman for dry. to get beat up by the Bloodline and came back, and Paul Heyman reunited with him. What's up with that? So Seth Rollins is doing the heel 97 Bret Hart. Drew McIntyre did this character and continues to do it, the heel 97 Bret Hart. Bianca Belair is being heel 97 Bret Hart. And she's done nothing but earn her way to WrestleMania through Elimination Chamber when her friends were fighting and people are booing her for no reason. So now she's going to be the heel 97 Bret Hart. You know, Heyman Adam Page, Swerve broke into his house and, you know, defiled with his children. And Heyman is a bad guy. So now he's 97. So this is like, we're seeing another prototype of that. And I think, you know, it's been a great build.
Yeah, you nailed it right. You hit it right on the head there. And here's the thing, though. Bianca ain't even whining. She's just like a victim in all this. And, you know, she's just like, everyone leave me alone. I got to focus on my title match. And then people are still booing her. It's like, what the fuck? Speaking of Bianca, Io. So night one, I mean, it looks pretty goddamn good. Night two, Bianca, Io, and Rhea Ripley. This triple threat here. I mean, I think Rhea and Bianca is just like a money match one-on-one. Doesn't matter what event you put it on. Io, I think, is like the workhorse of WWE. I think we see Bianca leave with the title in this one. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. That's another thing I want to point out about this entire WrestleMania. A lot of these matches are like they could go either way and you could see it. And that's more compelling sometimes than like, here's The Rock versus Cody Rhodes, where you know what's going to happen, let's say, or I'm just, you know, spitballing random shit. But this triple threat here, I think this will be really good. I mean, three performers who they're just three of the best in the world, really. So I just think this match is going to be a show stealer. And we'll probably open both Rumble winners on the first night, none of them on night two, so it doesn't really matter what they do here. But what do you think of the build to this match? We talked about it before. It's a little wonky, but your thoughts on the outcome of this one.
Horrible build. I actually think Io Sky's going to win because the story they're telling is that Bianca and Rio keep overlooking Io Sky to kind of feud with each other. And I think losing to Io Sky sets up Bianca and Rhea, which is, to your point, a money match. And I think that does set the stage for Bianca turning heel. I mean, I could see if Bianca wins, I could see her winning with help from Naomi, you know. But having said that, you know, eventually I see Naomi and Bianca linking up. But I just think because the story that they're telling is that they keep overlooking Io, I think eventually Io's going to make them pay for that.
Oh man, that's brilliant too, because Rhea and Bianca are such big names. Like they don't need a title for their feud to feel good. Like the way Drew and Punk like didn't need the world heavyweight title to make their feud feel important and satisfying to consume as a fan and everything. So the women's tag. So
real quick, I think the story they're going to tell, God forgive me for making this reference. It's going to be the Chris Benoit, Triple H, Shawn Michaels story, which is funny because that triple threat match, the way it came together, didn't make any sense either. And that Shawn Michaels just got put in the match. But the story they told is that Triple H and Shawn Michaels hated each other so much that they like at one point worked together to eliminate Chris Benoit from the match. And the story was they were trying to get to each other. And then eventually it cost them because Chris Benoit came back and he won. And I think that's the story they're going to tell with this one.
One of my favorite manias ever, WrestleMania 20 of all time. It's one of my stacked up there for me. Yeah. Because of the fuckiness of it, because of it in hindsight, you're like, shit, that's a crazy WrestleMania to have like witnessed at that time. Okay, but the women's tag division to me is just a fucking mess. And you have I call them KC2, Katana and Kaden, and you have like the Secret Hervis. And to me, it's like the tag titles are in the women's division are just like, they earn you shots at singles titles, and then the singles titles just earn you shots at the tag titles. I feel like basically like Lyra and Bailey just team up, win this gauntlet, and then they're taking on Liv and Raquel. And I get what they're trying to get to, but God damn it, man. I feel like these women's tag belts and the IC, like Chelsea Green's not on Mania night 1 or 2. Right. The IC title's not on night 1 or 2. You know what I mean? And then the IC champs just stuffed into the tag title division. Meanwhile, at Elimination Chamber, you had the tag champs just whipped into the Elimination Chamber for a shot at the world title and stuff. It's like these belts are just like, you get a shot at the other belts now because you have this belt. I fucking hate that. It's so AEW-y. It's like, just don't have the division. Just have girls team up or don't. Or my suggestion is do the Evolution pay-per-view once at PLE once a year and crown a women's tag team cup winner every year at that.
There you go.
You know, that's like a way. And then it's like they can, you know, let's say Katana Chance and Kaden Carter win it one year, the next year or all year they can be like, we won this shit, like we're the tag team, whatever. And then people who get wins over them, it's still important, but then the next year they go into it like we're the champs, we're the defending champs or whatever. I don't know, I feel like that would, you get more out of that. And then that way, if like a singles competitor just teamed up with Bayley randomly after they just had a few matches together, but they respect each other, so let's just team up for this tag tournament instead of me, Lyra, defending my IC title against the slew of other women that are here, you know, in this company. And then Chelsea as well. Like, how the fuck is she being left off of Mania? It's kind of crazy to me. But so again, I'm not trying to bury it. I'm sure this match will be fine. Liv works her ass off. Lyra's solid in ring. Bayley's one of the best. Raquel's really been stepping up. And do you see the title flip-flopping? Like Lyra walks out double champ? I just don't see that. This to me is like,
no.
This is a pointless. This should have happened like on SmackDown before Mania or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing, man, because the Street Profits are not on this pay-per-view, and they're facing the Motor City Machine Guns. And, you know, if you're going to have a tag team title match, that's the match I think that deserves to be on WrestleMania. Having said that, I think Liv Morgan is really being screwed because WrestleMania is kind of supposed to be a culmination of the year that you had. And very few people have had as good a year as Liv Morgan with her revenge tour. And I thought Liv Morgan has been outstanding over the past calendar year. And the fact that that kind of culminates in this last-minute tag team match, yeah, she has the tag team titles, but I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling how they've done Liv over the past couple of months because just how good she was up to the Elimination Chamber, where I thought she was the best woman not named Bianca Belair in that match. And this is just kind of, I don't care about this match, and it has nothing to do with the people involved. All great wrestlers, but they haven't done anything to make me care about this match. And I just don't, you know, I know they're going to probably build toward Bayley is definitely turning heel. I think they're going to lose and Bayley's turning heel. And I hope we get Ding Dong Bayley back because we never really got to see the full complement of that during after the pandemic with a full crowd. That was more of a pandemic thing. And so, you know, I would like to see heel Bayley in front of a crowd for a long period of time.
Yeah, I'm down with that, but it just seems so sudden to flip her back. But I guess she's been babyface since like before last Mania, right? So it's been a while, goddamn it, a year, you know, or whatever, a year and a half or however long she's been face. But yeah, that I could totally see that, like her healing on Lyra to try and get that IC belt off her. Speaking of IC titles, we have the men's fatal four-way. Now, I'm not terribly mad at this. I mean, this could have been Braun versus Finn. This could have been Braun versus Penta. This could have been Braun versus anyone, really. But I do like the dynamic because we're going to see the Judgment Day sort of split up. And as they do, you know, they consistently split up and add new people and da-da-da-da. Penta's out there. I mean, we have a guy from America who acts like he's from Mexico. We have Finn Balor, who's a Spanish-speaking Irishman. We have a Mexican luchador, and then we have an All-American who's holding the IC title. So a good mix-up for the Intercontinental. I guess that's all. I guess Finn is on another continent there. But either way, I'm excited for this match. I think this one will be very entertaining. And again, like one you look at on paper and you might just be like, oh, this is kind of a scramble. But I just think with the heat Dom gets, how over Braun is, the way Finn is just so good. I mean, he's just a vet. And then, you know, Penta's going to do some crazy ass shit. And yes, I mean, has this been my favorite story? No. Could I see any one of these guys walking out with the title? Yeah, like I could see Dom weaseling his way out and then Finn gets mad at him. I could see Finn getting it somehow, like having to snake over Dom, like stomping Dom and pinning Dom or something, and being like, well, what? I got us the belt, no? Like the next night on Raw. And then I could see Breaker defending it, although I feel like that's the least likely thing. I think he's being primed up for something bigger. And then Penta, I mean, he's just so fucking over. So like put it on him and crowd will get behind it. You know what I mean? And him and Braun could go off on a feud or whatever. What are your thoughts on, I guess, the build to this match? And then what do you think the outcome will be like?
It's been a solid build, actually, especially because they've done it around the Judgment Day. And, you know, they've talked an awful lot about Dom wanting a new member in the Judgment Day. And I think that's going to end up being Aleister Black. Whether he's going to show up at WrestleMania or not is a different story. But I think the finish is Dom wins the title by pinning Finn.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. The heat, man. The heat. But then Finn becomes the good guy, though. Like, people will feel. So then how do you go about that when you have Braun and Penta who are kind of in the good guy role? Or does Finn just snap on Dom? Or do people cheer Dom when he pins Finn? Ooh. And then
I mean, people might, but I have no problem with it. Depends on what you want to do. I'm confident that Penta's going to be chasing the IC title and chasing Dom. And I think they're going to build up Dom as this chicken shit heel. And especially when they add a new member, and really they're building toward kicking Finn out of the Judgment Day because Liv Morgan doesn't like him anymore. Dom is probably going to get a new member against Finn's orders, and it's going to lead to Finn getting kicked out. So it's just that you turn Finn babyface, and I don't have a problem with that.
But hold up, though. Here's the thing, because this whole time, right, subtly and subliminally a little bit, like, Finn and Liv have always been in contact, and they're seen in the background chatting together. They're slipping keys. So what if ultimately it's Liv and they ditch Dom and Liv goes with Finn and them? Like, that's what I'm saying. I think because here's the thing, man. Because WWE's playing 4D chess right now, brother.
Yeah.
Like, they're going even the Cena heels turn, like, they had at so many moments, you're like, oh, Cody's gonna turn. No, Cena might turn. Like, you didn't know what the hell was gonna happen.
Right.
And I could see it being some 4D chess like that, where it's like, no, Finn's like, dude, this has been my group. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know. Maybe I'm off on that.
I can see it.
Because JD's going to be with Finn no matter what when he comes back as well.
Right.
JD is aligned with Finn. And if you look at his Van Vliet interview, it lines up to where JD could be coming back sooner or later as well. And so that Carlito is probably going to stay with Dom, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe they all kick Dom to the side and then everyone starts cheering him, or maybe, I don't know, maybe that's thinking too deep into it, but I could just see them swerving the shit out of us. It should be noted too, like Ari Emanuel and The Rock and these motherfuckers, they were teasing something big is going to happen at Chamber, and they were talking the same shit about this WrestleMania. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like something crazy is going to happen at this Mania too. Obviously, like, more than just The Rock comes back,
Right.
I think like we'll get some glass shattering. I think we'll get a moment where it's like Triple H, Stone Cold, and The Rock in the ring together or something.
Oh, wow.
Like, all staring at each other like, oh, who's gonna jump or something like that. So I don't know. I think we're gonna get a couple of really good swerves, Barrow, as Vince Russo would say, this WrestleMania. But either way, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I think this is gonna fucking steal the show. This is gonna be one of the best
it's gonna
matches.
be amazing.
And you have Karrion Kross there, who can pick up the slack, like had a great match with AJ on SmackDown there. And then after Mania, AJ can continue to fucking feud Kross while Logan's not there. And Logan just sort of slips in. They're going to have this amazing fucking match. I think Logan Paul goes over because of some shit that Kross does or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I could see Logan Paul definitely going over. I mean, Logan Paul, I don't think he's ever won a WrestleMania match, and he definitely deserves it. He won with The Miz, I believe, in a tag team match, but like he's lost most of his big matches. And with AJ on his way out, I think it would be a great kind of passing of the torch from one super athlete to another. Mm-hmm. And I think Logan Paul is going to win this match. It's funny because Karrion Kross, he was Killer Kross, and then they tried to make him into a killer in NXT, and he's got the look in terms of his face as a guy who looks like a psychopathic killer. But his personality, the more of Karrion Kross's personality you see, the more you realize he's better as a comedy character. And not even like bad comedy where you can't take him seriously, but he's a funny guy. Yeah. And I thought like his mannerisms in the short time he was allowed to be in the ring with AJ Styles, he had that match, I thought he was thoroughly entertaining. And I would look forward to him feuding with AJ Styles coming out of a feud against Logan Paul. Right. So, but yeah, I really have liked what I've seen with Karrion Kross recently, more than just about anything he's done with WWE.
Well, Karrion Kross on SmackDown as well, like at the end of the match when AJ goes to give him the phenomenal forearm there, or was it Raw? Yeah, sorry, it was Raw. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, we got the pod going up on a Tuesday. So, AJ's hits him with the phenomenal forearm, but when Cross got up, he was like smiling, and then he put his hands behind his back, ate the move, and then eats the pin. So I just think we're going to see more of that after Mania play out. And how about the Wyatt Six? Like, what goes on with them? Just a spooky comeback again? Like, holy fuck, what a fumble that's been, in my opinion. Not to shit on any of the talent, but like they've had between Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt Six to see they're not on Mania and Solo's not on Mania and Randy Orton now. Alexa Bliss, and then Randy Orton, of course, Son's opponent, but that's because Kevin Owens has like a legit neck injury. That's legit, right? Like Kevin Owens isn't playing. Okay, yeah. So, Randy Orton, who do you think it's going to be? I think it's going to be Solo. Some people are saying it could be Nick Aldis, which I mean that would make sense too. It'd pop everyone, and that could just be like a decent match, but like a short, like kind of Legends match for Nick. I mean, I don't think people would get terribly mad at that. Of course, Randy would have to beat him like pretty quick, in my opinion, at least to seem somewhat legit. Like you don't want to see the general manager taking Randy to the limit or whatever. But I think it'll just be Solo. Who do you think it'll be? And if you had to guess, like, what are your thoughts on the whole KO situation as well?
Yeah, it's too bad for KO, especially right before WrestleMania. Usually in these situations, WWE likes to over-deliver. So it's like they promised you this match, one of the guy drops out, so they tend to want to over-deliver. So, I mean, my heart tells me that it might be Sami Zayn, but that to me sounds like a linear move, where it's just like, Kevin Owens' buddy, will put him in there. And Sami Zayn definitely deserves it. So a part of me thinks that I'll put it this way. If it's Sami Zayn or if it's going to be a linear move, it's got to be an angle that they do on SmackDown. It can't be where it's like Randy Orton has a mystery opponent. Oh, and then it turns out to be Sami Zayn. It's like kind of a letdown,
Do you think?
I think it's going to be a great match or whatnot, but if it's like we're building now, all of a sudden we have all this buzz about who's Randy Orton going to face and all these names. Like WWE kind of has to over-deliver. Not they have to, but they should over-deliver in a situation like that. And I mean, this might not be great for locker room morale, given all the people who are being left off this WrestleMania card, but maybe a Rusev shows up,
That's what I was going to say.
Malachi Black shows up. So,
dude.
A big pop, if you're going to build this thing up to where it's like, okay, we don't have Kevin Owens, we need a replacement. I mean, I know Triple H learned from Vince McMahon. He learned what to do, what not to do. And one of the lessons Triple H, I'm certain, took from Vince McMahon is that, like, when you're replacing a talent, you have to over-deliver. You have to go above what they would have gotten so that it doesn't seem like too much of a letdown.
Dude, I agree with you. Like, could you imagine the pop if and it would make sense. Nick Aldis could be like, yeah, Randy, like, and you could keep it a mystery. And Nick Aldis, like at Mania, and Nick Aldis could go, Randy, I found your opponent. Like his music could hit first. Everyone thinks it's Aldis. He comes out in his suit though. People are like, what the fuck? And he goes, Randy, I found a perfect opponent for you. And then fucking Rusev, Machka, he comes out.
If Nick Aldis walked out in full gear and then he introduced somebody else.
Oh, yeah, no, they'd fucking the crowd would eat. There'd be a fucking riot. They'd eat Nick Aldis alive, dude. No, but dude, if he came out though, and was like, I have an opponent for you, or he came out with like his work shirt, he could do it where like his sleeves are rolled up or whatever, and he looks like he's ready to fight. But Rusev comes out, or like even maybe not Jeff Cobb, but they're bringing him in. Allegedly, and obviously he's 42. Like it's going to be to the main roster and to beef up the heel side of shit. So maybe they want to go. Nick Aldis is like, yeah, here I have an opponent for you. Here's fucking Jeff Cobb. But I think that's like much too much, and he works a pretty hard style for Randy. Randy's back and neck and shit. He's had a lot of problems. So whoever it is, I agree with you with the over-deliver thing, but you just made me realize something, and it really pertains to this next match. So it feels like Drew and Damian got stuck together because Damian had nobody, but I don't know why it couldn't have been Sammy, or it couldn't have been, Damian could have been put in with Randy, or it could have been Damian, because I feel like Drew should be in a four-way with Punk, Seth, and Roman. I feel like because think about it, he hugged Cody when Cody took out Roman. He hates him that much. He hates Punk, we know that, and him and Seth have like this we fucking hate each other, but Drew's like, are you going to wake up already, Seth, kind of thing. He fits right into that story. And it seems like because Damian didn't have anybody, and then you look at the card and it's like, hey, Kevin's off it. Sammy doesn't have an opponent. Who else is off this thing? Solo doesn't. You mean to tell me you couldn't get Solo Priest or something like that? And I'm not saying like we got to muddy it up by making that triple threat a 4-way. These are 2 heavy hitters. I mean, Sheamus, I don't know if he's healthy. He's not on this fucking thing. There's a lot of people being left off, and this match to me just feels like Drew's getting it over. Oh, it's been a year build. And it's like, where's my John Cena? Are you sure about that? You know, you know what I'm
sure
saying?
about
that? But I think it kind of has been. They're getting it over, but it's just like, I don't know. To me, this felt very, and I get it from the Rumble as well, but to me, this feels very like underwhelming for these two. This is a match where, I mean, they could have a feud that doesn't need a title, but at the same time, this just feels like a match because these are 2 stars and they just needed them on the card, you know?
And that's what it is. It's unfortunate and this is another Drew McIntyre is a male Liv Morgan in that like he's just been unbelievable. And unfortunately, he's going to be put in what is a meaningless match. I mean, they've done everything they can to make it seem like they have a legit gripe against each other. They're attacking each other in parking lots. I will say this is a match that does have more potential to steal the show than any, because it's going to be like a Sin City street fight. So they're going to, it's going to be no rules. They're going to use weapons and whatnot. So that's going to be good for them. But too many times with Drew McIntyre do I find that as he overperforms his position constantly. But it's like, it's got to be frustrating to constantly find yourself in this position, despite being like one of the best guys in the company. You know, never really in world title matches, never really winning world title matches. I do think that he should have won that match against CM Punk inside Hell in a Cell. I mean, he tends to like, we talk about over delivering. Drew McIntyre tends to over deliver. And then when it comes time to where, okay, what's his big match going to be? It always seems like a step down in terms of what he deserves. Even when he won the world title last year, he immediately lost the title.
Yeah.
So it's just like, he's like the Charlie Brown of WWE.
Yeah. Well, he's like this generation's Roddy Piper in a sense, where it's like, he's so fucking good, but it's like, that's because he's so good. He doesn't need the world title to get this shit over and make it feel important and stuff. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Now, the main event of the evening, Cody Rhodes, John Cena. I mean, this is a generational main event. Truly, this is generational shit right here. We are so blessed. We were so blessed to live in the fucking Roman Reigns era, Alfred, and we are so blessed to get this match, Cena, Cody Rhodes, the passing of the torch, heel Cena. Maybe it's a passing of the torch. Who knows? Cena could pull this one off. That's what's crazy about this. So the build has been tremendous for the little build we've gotten. It's been money every time. Yes, Cody Rhodes is carrying the thing. Yes, they're 2 such big stars that they have to just show up and cut a fucking promo here or there. There hasn't been much physicality between the 2 since that night. But ultimately, though, I feel like this juice will be worth the squeeze. This match, I think, is just, this is like when The Rock and Hollywood Hogan threw down. Like, it's that level. Like, you're just so blessed to be able to be like, I lived and caught the vibes of that. So I'm just so stoked for this match. It could go absolutely either way. I don't have a prediction yet. I feel like when they want to end it happy one night and then angry one night. So whether night 2 ends angry or, you know what I mean? Either way. Yeah. So that's why I thought Yeeta Mania was going to end night 1, and then I was like, that'll be an indicator that Cena wins night 2. But I really don't know. Do they want to send everyone home happy both nights in a row? The beauty of it being night 2 and the beauty of it being 41 as well. Like you talked about this way earlier, like how do you live up to the hype of last year's Mania? And the beauty of it being 41 is like, if you look at the Manias in decades or like every 10 Manias, let's say, this is like chapter 1 now between 40 and 50. So I mean, you could just end it where everyone's like, holy fuck, you know, but in a good way where we're all like, holy shit, like, I can't believe that's how it ended. I don't have a prediction. It could go either way. Cena could break Flair's record. Flair said he's not going to be there after saying he was going to be there, apparently.
Yeah, and then Tony Khan stepped in and said, hey, contract, brother.
Well, we don't use Woo Energy anymore, but you got a contract, brother. But anyways, though, your thoughts, and will The Rock and or Travis Scott show up during this match?
They better.
Yeah.
I expect The Rock to be there. It's like, listen, I've liked the fact, I mean, not that you really needed The Rock to tell the rest of the story, because essentially it was John Cena sold his soul to The Rock. The Rock is the final boss. So we needed The Rock to tell the story of John Cena's heel turn, but then it becomes about John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, which it should be about that because it's about the title. But I do expect The Rock to show up, and I expect The Rock to have an influence on the outcome of this match. I'm excited for John Cena and Cody Rhodes. I think, they haven't had too many interactions for this build, despite how long it's been. But I think that works toward their benefit because it makes it seem like more of a main event match. Yep. You're really protecting that interaction between John Cena and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, and MMA builds up to fights like that too. Like, one guy does a media day, the other guy does an interview on Ariel Helwani, and then you get the pre-fight presser and they talk shit, but they're kept apart, and then maybe they get up and push each other a bit. Kind of like Cody Rhodes hitting the crossroads on Cena there, whatever, a little bit maybe of physicality, but then it builds up to the ultimate battle. And I think it makes it feel more special too. It sort of sucks that there's not like a surrogate, like a regular every week on the roster guy and maybe that person's unveiled at WrestleMania. John Cena's slated to be at Backlash. He's scheduled for it. So it kind of makes you think, he might win this fucking title, dude, at WrestleMania. Either way, though, I'm excited, and the outcome, there's just good stories to tell. Now, people will shit on Cena and be like, he's just a part-time champ and all this shit, blah, WWE doing more part-timer stuff. Do you think there's a bunch of like shenanigans in this match though, right? Because it's not like this match is no DQ or anything. So you think like the ref gets knocked out, a bunch of runouts again, like the Bloodline Rules match? Yeah.
I think, I actually kind of think we're going to get the heel version of that. Like it's going to be the alternate universe where it's like the heels might overpower the baby faces in this. Like this might end up being, well, they kind of booked last year's WrestleMania like this, right? Where the first WrestleMania was like Civil War and the second one was like Endgame.
Yeah.
So this might be the first chapter of John Cena building toward, his retirement tour. I think should be spent with the title. I'm not going to give my official prediction because I can see this going either way for this one, but I'm very much looking forward to them getting together because of how much it's been protected. And I really do think that if nothing else, Travis Scott needs to get his receipt from Cody Rhodes after slapping the shit out of him. So they'll book Travis Scott just so he can get his receipt.
And do you think we get, because he's in town, do you think we get the glass shatter?
It's funny. I was surprised he didn't show up. I mean, I expected him to be there last year, and I expect him to be there this year.
Yeah. Me too last year, but I think he I think he was slated to be, but he had like a last minute like knee surgery or some shit. But so they went with The Undertaker. But this year, like the ending was good because if Stone Cold was there at 40, it would have ended with a beer bash instead of Cody having that moment. But this year you could end it with a beer bash as well, and they triumph over Cena or whatever. Maybe. Who fucking knows? I don't know. As Lex Luger, who's going into the Hall of Fame,
I don't know.
So, but what I do know is that you, Alfred, are one of my favorite guests to have on the goddamn show. Ladies
right back at you, man.
I appreciate it, man. I would not have rather WrestleMania previewed with anybody else but you, buddy. And hopefully we're yeeting all over the place this Mania. Thank you for coming on the show. Everyone, you can follow Alfred Konuwa at This Is Nasty on X, and you can go to his YouTube and subscribe, or do not subscribe in Swahili, and at youtube.com/@ProWrestlingBits. Alfred, do you have anything else going on or anything you want to plug or tell the good folks at home?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be at WrestleMania, so come say hi. I'm going to be at all kinds of events. WrestleMania After Dark, I'll be there. I'll be just from wire to wire. What's that?
Are you going to do the roast?
No. I'm not going to go to the roast. I don't think I'm going to go to the roast.
Okay, but what? Sorry, before I get you out of here, man, everyone's mad about the roast, and Hinchcliffe and Bert Kreischer been showing up on Raw. It's been some kind of cringe appearances. At least Bert tried to take it kind of serious, but quickly, like, what do you make of all that shit, and what do you make of the roast?
I think it's a good idea to do a roast of WrestleMania, but just considering you know, I'm gonna have a short coming out that kind of shows about this in terms of, because WWE, they have such a dark history and there's so much to make fun of that, whether or not the comedians listen to them is another story, but like, they're probably gonna be like, hey man, no jokes about Chris Benoit, no jokes about the Ring Boy scandal, no jokes about Vince McMahon being a rapist, no jokes, you know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be so many things that they're probably gonna be told not to talk about, but I'm guessing it'll be a no holds bar, say whatever you want type roast. There's a lot of material. It does have the potential to be great. And I know a lot of people are supposed to be mad at Tony Hinchcliffe or whatnot, but he is objectively one of the best roasters on the planet. He was not good on Raw. I think he was nervous because of the position he was in or whatever, but that guy knows how to roast and he knows how to host a roast. So I do think that given how low everybody's expectations are, this is going to end up being a good roast and I do say if they go to their full potential and they really go hard on what you can, because wrestling is one of the most roastable things on the planet. And so, I do think they're going to have fun with that.
You should go next time you're in Texas, try and get on Kill Tony one more time.
Yeah,
your appearance was good, but Bill Burr his energy fucked it. I truly feel like you had one of the better appearances like over the years, man. I watched that show a lot and you fucking crushed it on there, but Bill Burr's energy when you watch the whole thing, he fucked it up, a little bit. Not hating on Burr. I'm just saying it is the truth.
Yeah, he was very uncomfortable there, and I was like, and that was like my first year doing comedy, so I really didn't really like my set in hindsight or whatnot. I had fun up there and stuff like that, but now it's like on Netflix, and there's like 300 comedians who show up there. But I will be in Austin later on this year, so maybe I'll go to Kill Tony and
throw your name in the ring. I'd love to see it happen because I feel like you just had your interview portion was great too, and that's where people get more. I feel like some people blow up more because of their interview portion than their stand-up sometimes too. Not saying your stand-up isn't good, but you got both, so it'll blow up. But anyways, guys, you want to check out his stand-up at This Is Nasty over on Extra on Instagram too, and make sure you check him out at Pro Wrestling Bits, one of, if not the funniest pro wrestling video channels on YouTube, period. Alfred Konuwa, round of applause.
Thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate all the plugs. We'll be having all kinds of content across all those platforms, plus Forbes as well. So just keep locked in. Just like Phil Mark said, he did a great job putting me over. I'll just have endless content throughout this WrestleMania week, and we're going to have a good time.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, guys. You know where to find me. Take good care of each other. Drink lots of water. It's WrestleMania week, bitches. Turn up. Until next time, I'll see you in the Upside Down. Peace.